Hello, everyone. Hello to all the lovely, lovely people in our community. I hope you're ready because we are going to have something that one could say is fun. We will be reading and bringing back our Scary Story Fridays for the month of October. This is where you submit some of your favorite creepypastas, SCPs, and even your own creations for us to read on the channel. I will warn you, some of these stories are quite disturbing, but I think we'll have a very, very good time. Creepiness aside, hello everyone. Happy Friday night. I hope you're doing well. Let's go ahead and start our little shout out of the evening. Oh, goodness. Shout out to Mina. Hello, Autumn. The dark siren rises. Yes, Autumn, it is fall. It is October. Dark Siren is having her day. Oh, you don't have speakers so you can't listen from your bed. Oh, I'm sorry, Mina. I'm sorry. Hello, Chris. Hello, Glitchy Demon. Hello, South Apple. Hello, Colossal. Get that ooh-ooh out of here. Gosh dang it. So, if this is the first one you've been to, here's how this usually goes. I will be reading several prominent scary stories. Ammo! Whoa, it's so good to see you. Hello, Ammo. Hello. I'm being creepy because it's October. But I will be reading the story. So if I don't respond to something you say in chat, just wait until I'm done, and I will. But yeah, I will warn you. Some of these stories are pretty terrifying. So sit back, relax, and enjoy me reading awful, terrible things to you. If you have anything to suggest, please go ahead and post it in the fanfiction channel on our Discord, and I will read it out loud. Oh, Tuna, hello, it's so good to see you. Thank you for the lurk. I will warn you, of all days, this is our creepiest one. You may want to watch previous VODs, but ooh, this is a creepy one. Y'all, go check out Tuna. He's streaming Overwatch. He's making the grind. Go give him some love. Good bean. 10 out of 10. And with that, let's go ahead and start our creepy readings for the night. Sit back, relax, and let's get started. This one is an oldie but a goodie. It is called the Russian Sleep Experiment. This is one we read around a year ago, and it is one of the most popular ones, so it just feels right to start it this way. Here we go. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake so the gas didn't kill them, since it was so toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they only had microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, running water and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 for over a month. The test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidences in their past, and the general tone of their conversations took on a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternatively whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Oddly, they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity, with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was an effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about this behavior is how the other captives reacted to it. Or rather, didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The 2 non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. The screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering to the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it impossible that no sound could be coming with 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated all 5 must still be alive. In fact, it was the amount of oxygen 5 people would consume at a very heavy level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives they were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced, "We are opening the chamber to test the microphones. Step away from the door, lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn one of you your immediate freedom." To their surprise, they heard a single phrase and a calm voice respond, "We no longer want to be freed." Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed off of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened, and soldiers sent in to retrieve the first test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one could rightly call the state that any of them in life. The food rations past day 5 had not so much been touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subject's thighs and chest stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much of the water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of the wounds indicated that most, if not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed, while the heart, lungs, and diaphragm all remained in place. The skin and most of the muscles attached to the ribs. I got lost in my reading. Hold on. Also, hey, Steve. Yeah, we brought it back for October. And Decimate, give me a second. I'll read that later. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They'd just been taken out and laid on the floor, fanning out around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subjects. The digestive tract of all 4 could be seen to be working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but still many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber, and alternatively begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on, lest they fall asleep. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having his testicles ripped off and an artery in his leg severed by one of the subject's teeth. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives, if you count the ones that committed suicide in the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured, and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but this proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the normal human dose of a morphine derivative, and he still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arm of one doctor. When his heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he had bled out to the point there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach and just repeating the word more over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility. The two with intact vocal cords, continuously begging for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the three was taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back within his body, it was found he was effectively immune to the sedative they had given him to prepare for the surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the way through a 4-inch wide leather strap on one wrist, even through the weight of a 200-pound soldier holding that wrist as well. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered and closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy of the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had triple the normal level of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he had broken 9 bones in his struggle to not be subdued. Most of them were from the force his own muscles had exerted on them. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he only reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested, reluctantly, that they try surgery without anesthetic, and he did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with what remained of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically impossible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers.
Oh, oh goodness, I don't like that.
When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and pad fetched so the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other 2 test subjects were given the same story, the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well, although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak, they were again asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted to be given the gas again. Only one response was given: I must remain awake. All 3 subjects' restraints were reinforced, and they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of their military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were to put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor and had their restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all three stopped struggling the moment it was let slip they would be going back on the gas. It was obvious that at this point all three were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The mute subject was straining his legs against the leather bonds with all his might, first left, then right, then left again for something to focus on. The remaining subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first to be wired for EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he was repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As they focused on paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, only one nurse saw his eyes slip shut at the same moment his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of deep sleep, and then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be sealed in now. His brainwaves showed the same flat lines as one who had just died from falling asleep. The commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as 3 researchers. One of the named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes, then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed his gun at the remaining subject, still restrained to a bed as the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. "I won't be locked in here with these things. Not with you," he screamed at the man strapped to the table. "What are you?" he demanded. "I must know." The subject smiled. "Have you forgotten so easily?" the subject asked. "We are you. We are the madness that lurks within you all, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven where we cannot tread." The researcher paused, then aimed at the subject's heart and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out. So nearly free.
Oh, spooky. Oh, that was the Russian sleep experiment, one of my absolute favorites. Oh, I hate it. All right, we're going to be moving on to another spooky, scary story. Let's see what we can get. Let's see what we can do. So this is something new, okay? It's not quite a creepypasta, but it is something I hate. Steve, if you look up creepypasta Russian sleep experiment, it should be there. Really? Colossal? That's not a joke. Wait, is it a joke or is that a thing that happens? I don't know technology. It might be a joke. It might not be a thing that happens. Siri, why am I still single? And then Siri activates the front camera. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, Decimate, I see it. I see it. Oh, my Lanta. Okay, let's go ahead and read the next one. Mina, I'm gonna read yours after this, by the way. So, this is something I found. It's called Robert the Doll. And this is a real thing. This isn't a creepypasta, okay? Des, I don't know why she's the way she is. I don't know. Also, hold on one second, y'all. Okay, all right. So this is a real thing, okay? It's called Robert the Doll, and you can see this in Key West, Florida. But I don't recommend going to Florida right now. Okay, so this is Robert. He's beautiful. Yeah, Autumn, you could go see this right now. You're in Florida. You could go see this. What do you think? No, Mina, you've seen this? Oh no. All right, guys, let's learn about Robert. Robert Eugene Otto, or Gene, as his family called him, was just a young boy in the early 1900s when his family's maid gave him a strange, straw-filled doll to play with. Gene loved his life-size doll and brought it along everywhere, even naming it Robert, after himself. It wasn't long, however, before people began noticing signs of Robert the doll's evil and mischievous nature. As rumor has it, the Ottos and their servants would often hear Gene in his bedroom, having conversations with himself in two entirely different voices. Furthermore, the Ottos would wake up in the middle of the night to Gene's screaming, only to find the frightened boy in bed, surrounded by overturned furniture. Gene would blame Robert the doll for messing up the bedroom, while Robert would glare at Gene from the foot of the bed. Soon after, mutilated toys and mysterious happenings would appear in the home, only to have Gene proclaim each time Robert did it. Though the Ottos didn't quite believe Gene, it was reported that they could hear the eerie sound of Robert giggling around the house, and passerby even claimed to see a small doll moving from window to window. Robert was eventually moved to the attic, where he remained for a number of years. Gene inherited his family's Key West mansion after his parents passed away, at which time Robert the doll returned to his old bedroom, Gene's turret room on the second floor. By then, Gene had been working as an artist, and local folklore insists Gene would spend his days alone in his mansion, painting with his old friend Robert. Gene eventually married, and many tales of his wife's disdain for Robert arose. Conflicting rumors surfaced, some alleging that Gene's wife died from insanity after locking Robert in the attic, while others report that Gene died with Robert by his side. Today, Gene's residence
operates as a bed and breakfast called the Artist House, and visitors can even stay in the old turret bedroom. But dear God, please don't. Robert the doll now lives at the Forest East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, where some believe his hair color and his soul are both slowly fading. Visitor beware, though, as Robert's current favorite mischievous act involves casting curses on those who take his photo without first asking permission. To date, the walls near his glass case are covered in numerous letters from previous visitors and naysayers, begging for Robert's forgiveness and asking him to remove any hex he may have cast.
Oh, so this is a place you can go. This is a bit different. It's not a creepypasta per se. One of our community members, Mina, apparently has gone to visit this. Key West, Florida. Don't do it. Don't save your money for the movies, folks. Don't leave Robert alone. We'll all just agree to leave Robert alone, okay? All right, let's go ahead and see what we have next to read. I believe we were sent something. Let me open this up. Now, this is a story. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Okay, so this is a story submitted by one of our viewers, Mina. And she has tailored the story. She translated it from Spanish to English, and she has put a twist on it. And I see what the twist is. She's put my name here. You little hecking. What have you done? What have you done? Okay, here we go.
Mom, can I play in the forest? Asked Psyche, my 7-year-old daughter. Yes, you can, but eat first. Psyche sat down and ate the soup. Delicious, Mom. Thank you. It has my secret ingredient, I said with a smile.
So this is the mom. Oh no. Oh no.
After eating, Psyche leaves the house with her favorite doll to play in the woods. 2 hours later, I also left the house. Psyche, time to go home. But Psyche isn't coming back. An hour went by and Psyche did not return. A day goes by and she doesn't come back. A week goes by. Psyche doesn't come back. Sadly, I think she is probably dead. One day I go into the forest to walk a little, and I see something on the ground. It's Psyche's doll. I grab the wrist and go home. I cannot sleep at night. I open my eyes and turn on the lamp. I'm looking for my book. I turn my head to see something horrifying. It is Psyche's doll in my bed. Oh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this so much. I look at the doll in terror. He has dead eyes, a cold smile. Why is it in my bed? I grab the doll and put it in Psyche's room. I start to see the doll all day, and it's always in different places. In the kitchen, in the bathroom, at the table, and always has the same expression. Dead eyes with a cold smile. The next night, I made dinner. It's my favorite soup, and I eat it all. Afterwards, I grab my book and head to the couch. As I sat there reading, I saw the doll on the couch too. What do you want, devil doll? I cried desperately. I am tired of being afraid every day. Did you enjoy the soup, Mom? Wait a minute. Did the doll speak to me? Psyche? You made my favorite soup, but you forgot the secret ingredient. I didn't speak. I was horrified. Do I talk to my daughter? But do not worry, Mom. I added the secret ingredient.
Oh no! 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 No!
What secret ingredient did you add to the soup? I asked fearfully. The same ingredient that was in my soup. Poison. At that moment, I fall to the ground in pain and begin to close my eyes. The last thing I see is the cold smile on Psyche's face.
No! This image! You little freaking... Oh, hello, Corgi. We are bringing back our October spooky, scary stories on Friday nights, where we take creepypastas or SCPs, or like this little tit, Mina, who wrote her own story. We read those as well. And sometimes people scare me. Gosh dang it. Oh, no. Oh, no. Anyway, happy Friday. How you doing? How you doing there? All right. Oh, heck that. Oh, heck that one. Let's see. What do we want to read next? Ooh, Persuaded. Ooh, I like this one. Corgi, did you like it? Did you? Let's see if we can find Persuaded on here. That one sounds good. Ooh, this looks promising. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad. We're just getting spooky. So just, get comfortable, relax. Oh, Smile Dog. Do you want us to do that one next? Here, let me drink some water. We can do Smile Dog after this one if you want. We're just open to suggestions. It's a very relaxing, it's just a 2-hour stream every Friday. Just a little chill, spooky time to get wrapped up in a blanket and relax. All right, guys, here we go. This one I have not read before. So we'll see what happens. It's called Persuaded. It's been 2 weeks since the whole thing started. It all started with a tanker accident. It was all over the news. Everyone thought it was just another oil spill. There were plenty of volunteers, plenty of people wanting to help the poor, defenseless animals, plenty of victims. Within hours of the tanker accident, it started happening. The animals had gone crazy. They were scratching and biting the cleanup volunteers. They said that it was an adverse effect to whatever was in that tanker. Rescue workers were still trying to get the crew out of the ship. They could hear screaming inside. There were screams to open the doors. But that is when it all went to hell, as soon as they cut the door out. There were 6 minutes of broadcast before it went silent.
6 minutes of screaming and agony. The ship crew attacked the rescue workers like rabid baboons. They were breaking bones and tearing flesh. The ship crew attacked the rescue workers. The people on the shore weren't faring any better. Those that had been attacked by animals were attacking everyone else. It was worse than any war zone report. It was sheer brutality. And yet the broadcast still went on for 6 minutes. There was 6 minutes, and then blank faces. Nobody could explain what was happening. They tried to continue with the regular news, the economy, the weather, and a cute human interest story. But they couldn't make us unsee what we saw. I tried to continue with my regular existence, but every time I switched on the news or walked by a newsstand, it was there, this big mystery. They had some explanations. It was an infection or maybe brain parasites. But it didn't matter. It wasn't the infection we were afraid of. It was them. 4 days after the initial report, a state of emergency was raised. And yet, well, we've all seen this before. It's in every zombie movie, ever. People didn't know who to trust. People were stockpiling food and weapons. Some tried to flee. But it seems every zombie movie was right. They didn't make it. 3 days later, they arrived in my town. I expected moans, shuffling corpses, and dismemberment. But that's where the movies lied. They ran through the streets, screaming. I remember running to my front door as fast as I could, locking, barricading, and doing anything to make sure it would stay shut. And then I headed for the window. I was on the 2nd story, and I could see the carnage. They were unstoppable, and they were aware. A group of them made their way through a building across the street. They jumped straight through plate glass windows. Even the shards slicing through them made no difference. They just kept coming. My barricade wasn't going to hold. I rushed around my flat, grabbing supplies and jamming them into the most secure room of the flat. I went back for one last look across the street, and I wish I hadn't. In a 2nd story window, my face met one of theirs. They knew where I was. I quickly dashed into the room and looked at the door and locked it. I don't have any kind of panic room or a secure basement, so the safest place I could think of was my bathroom. There were no windows, only one door, and it had a lock.
Yeah, the ads are so frustrating. When we first did these readings, we would get ads for pepperoni, and it just became a meme in the channel for a while. So, it's fine. Maybe the zombies just need a little help rising from the dead. Hey, Jay, we're bringing back Scary Story Fridays. What has the stream become? Man, I don't even know no more. But anyway, let's get back to it.
I had filled my sink and bathtub full of water so I could stay for a while. I sat there in a dark room with the distant screams in my ears. I began to feel like I may have overreacted. It had been 2 hours with no sign of them. It actually got quieter, and I thought they had moved on. Maybe I could leave the room and get to the kitchen. I could grab some more food to wait it out. A crash came from the front door. There was the sound of someone running full force into the door and knocking down the barrier behind it. There were a couple more crashes before I knew they were inside. Rapid footsteps moving around the flat, a couple of screams, and the bang on the wall beside me. My eyes were open to their widest, even in the pitch black darkness of the room. There was another bang, and then another. They knew I was there, and they knew I was scared. This was the zombie nightmare I had been expecting from the start. I had nowhere to run. There was only so much time before they would break in. I sat with my back to the door, hoping my extra weight would make it harder for them to get in. And then it got worse. "Why don't you open the door?" There was a voice on the opposite side of the door. There were no screams or moans, just a quiet, whispery voice, and then more of them. "We've come for you. You'll be happier if you open the door. It's not so bad." The whispery voices became a cacophony of noise trying to persuade me, to break me, to fool me. I'd heard that the moaning of zombies would drive people insane. But this was worse. A siren call. I sat in the darkness and hoped and prayed that they'd get bored. But they don't get bored, and they don't leave. I managed to use the mirror to peek under the door, only to be greeted by horrible, unblinking eyes, blood-smeared faces, screams, and more horrible whispers. That was 2 days ago. I don't know what to do anymore. Maybe it won't be so bad.
Oh, this one is called Persuaded. Ooh. Ooh, do not like that one. I do not like the idea of zombies being able to talk to you. I do not. Also, hello Teeth Whitener, hello Lynn, hello Jay. Welcome to the spooky. I know, right? We always get these bizarre ads on the Creepypasta website. Oh, well, the next one we are going to read has been suggested by Corgi. It is called The Smiling Dog. And I think we did this one last year. This is The Smile Dog. Ooh, this one. Aw, Tuna, thank you for the lurk. Thank you. But yeah, we always get the most bizarre ads. It's just funny at this point. You know, I wonder. Let's do something a bit interesting. Ah, I pressed the wrong thing. It's BRB. Don't worry. We're still here. I think I know of a way for us not to have to see that. I think I know a way to hide the ads. No, don't worry. I've got this. I am a champer damper. Well, we do have ad block. That's the thing. That's why it's acting all weird on him. At least I think so. No concern needed. None needed at all. It is fine. It is all good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know at all. Let me open this up. But yes, please be thinking of any scary stories you guys would like us to read. So what I'm going to do to save us from the nonsense is while this is open, here. I told South I would keep things from falling apart. Autumn, why do you make promises you can't keep? Yeah, post them in the fanfiction channel on our Discord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this up so y'all don't have to see it. Gonna cover this crap up. Let's add a source to this. Drag this over. Boop doop doo. Hello, FD! FD, how are you doing? We're about to delve into another scary story. So what I'll do is I'll make this a bit smaller and we'll have this cover the ad column so no one has to see it. So no one has to suffer. It looks awful now. Give me a second. I am just not about seeing ads. I hate ads with a passion. I don't even run ads on my own channel. We've never had a mid-roll ad. Never. Unless Twitch makes us. Never. I refuse. So we'll angle this a bit down. You got out of bronze. I'm so proud of you. Heck yeah. What did you main in? Were you a support? Were you a tank? Were you DPS? What'd you do, FD? What'd you do? Okay. Then we'll move this over here. Oh my god. You know, it ain't beautiful, but it's something. No, don't you start talking about HelloFresh. Don't you start freaking. Don't you start that. Alrighty. There. Now we have a spooky image. Solo support? No. FD, you are so brave. I could not solo support. I would die. I would perish. Oh, let's angle this up a bit more. Okay. I'm too much of a perfectionist for my own good. Yeah, at least they're not that. Oh, you stop it now. There we go. Like I said, it's not beautiful, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, there we go. You think the ads look better? You're okay with ads. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure you want an ad? Because if you guys want us to see the ads, I'll remove it, but you're good with ads? Oh my Lanta. Okay, but I warn you, some of them are gonna be pretty weird. Why am I starting to think y'all enjoy the ads? All right. T-Planer is sus. Oh, that's awesome, Jay. I'm so glad you knew. Okay, here we go. This one is called The Smile Dog. And Corgi, I'm sorry I didn't notice, but I'm gonna take a little sip of whiskey. Thank you for doing that. Oh, we don't have any cats in the office, so I'm just taking a little thing of whiskey. All right. This next one was suggested by Corgi.
and it is called Smile Dog.
Woo.
I first met in person with Mary E. in the summer of 2007. I had arranged with her husband of 15 years, Terrence, to see her for an interview. Mary had initially agreed, since I was not a newsman, but rather an amateur writer, gathering information for a few early college assignments. And if all went according to plan, some pieces of fiction. We scheduled the interview for a particular weekend when I was in Chicago on unrelated business. But the last moment, Mary changed her mind and locked herself in the couple's bedroom, refusing to meet with me. For half an hour, I sat with Terrence as we camped outside the bedroom door. I listening and taking notes, while he attempted fruitlessly to calm his wife. The things Mary said made little sense, but fit with the pattern I was expecting. Though I could not see her, I could tell from her voice that she was crying. And more often than not, her objections to speaking with me centered around an incoherent diatribe on her dreams, her nightmares. Terrence apologized profusely when we ceased the exercise. I did my best to take it in stride, recall that I wasn't a reporter in search of a story, but merely a curious young man in search of information. Besides, I thought at the time, I could perhaps find another similar case if I put my mind and resources to it. Mary E. was a setup for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1992 when she first encountered Smile.jpg, and her life changed forever. She and Terrence had been married for only 5 months. Mary was one of an estimated 400 people who saw the image when it was posted as a hyperlink on the BBS, though she is the only one who has spoken openly about the experience. The rest have remained anonymous, or are perhaps dead. In 2005, when I was only in 10th grade, Smile.jpg was first brought to my attention by burgeoning interest in web-based phenomena. Mary was the most often cited victim of what is sometimes referred to as Smile.dog. The being Smile.jpg is reputed to display. What caught my interest, other than the obvious macabre elements of the cyber legend and my proclivity towards such things, was the sheer lack of information. Usually to the point that people don't believe it even exists, other than as a rumor or a hoax. It is unique because, though the entire phenomenon centers on a picture file, that file is nowhere to be found on the internet. Certainly many photo-manipulated simulacra litter the web. Oh, simulacra. I know words. Hello, me read good. Litter the web. Showing up with the most frequency on sites such as the image board 4chan, particularly the X-focused paranormal subboard. It is suspected these are fakes because they do not have the effect the true Smile.jpg is believed to have, namely sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. This purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons the phantom-like smile.jpg is regarded with such disdain, since it is patently absurd. Though, depending on whom you ask, the reluctance to acknowledge smile.jpg's existence might be just as much out of fear as it is out of disbelief. Neither smile.jpg nor smile.dog is mentioned anywhere on Wikipedia, though the website features articles on such other, perhaps more scandalous shock sites as hello.jpg or 2girls1cup. Any attempt to create a page pertaining to smile.jpg is similarly deleted by any of the encyclopedia's many admins. Encounters with smile.jpg are the stuff of internet legend. Mary E's story is not unique. There are unverified rumors of smile.jpg showing up in the early days of Usenet, and even one persistent tale that in 2002, a hacker flooded the forums of humor and satire website Something Awful with a deluge of smile.dog pictures, rendering almost half the forum's users at the time epileptic. It is also said that in the mid to late 90s that smile.jpg circulated on Usenet, and as an attachment of a chain email with the subject line, "Smile, God loves you." Yet despite the huge exposure these stunts would generate, there are very few people who admit to having experienced any of them. There is no trace of the file or any link that has ever been discovered. Those who claim to have seen smile.jpg often weakly joke that they were far too busy to save a copy of the picture to their hard drive. However, all alleged victims offer the same description of the photo. A dog-like creature, usually described as appearing similar to a Siberian husky, illuminated by the flash of the camera, sits in a dim room. The only background detail that is visible being a human hand extending from the darkness near the left side of the frame. The hand is empty, but is usually described as beckoning. Of course, most attention is given to the dog or dog creature, as some victims are more certain than others about what they claim to have seen. The muzzle of the beast is reputedly split open in a wide grin, revealing 2 rows of very white, very straight, very sharp, very human-looking teeth. This is, of course, not a description given immediately after viewing the picture, but rather a recollection of the victims, who claim to have seen this picture endlessly repeated in their mind's eye during the time they are, in reality, having epileptic fits. These fits are reported to continue indeterminably, often while the victims sleep, resulting in very vivid and disturbing nightmares. These may be treated with medication, though it sometimes is more effective than others. Mary E., I assumed, was not on effective medication. That was why, after my visit to her apartment in 2007, I sent out feelers to several folklore and urban legend-oriented news groups, websites, and mailing lists, hoping to find the name of a supposed victim of smile.jpg who felt more interested in talking about his experiences. For a time, nothing happened, and at length I forgot completely about my pursuits. Since I'd begun my freshman year of college and was quite busy, Mary contacted me via email, however, near the beginning of March 2008. Subject: last summer's interview. Dear Mr. L, I am incredibly sorry about my behavior last summer when you came to interview me. I hope you understand it was no fault of yours, but rather my own problems that led me to act out as I did. I realized I could have handled the situation more decorously, however. I hope you will forgive me. At the time, I was afraid. You see, for 15 years, I've been haunted by Smile. Smile comes to me in my sleep every night. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. There's an ineffable quality about my dreams, my nightmares, that makes them completely unlike any real dreams I've ever had. I do not move and do not speak. I simply look ahead, and the only thing ahead of me is the scene from that horrible picture. I see the beckoning hand, and I see Smile Dog. It talks to me. It's not a dog, of course, though I'm not quite sure what it really is. It tells me it will leave me alone if only I do as it asks. All I must do, it says, is spread the word. That is how it phrases its demands, and I know exactly what it means. It wants me to show it to someone else. And I could. The week after my incident, I received in the mail a manila envelope with no return address. Inside was only a 3.5-inch floppy diskette. Without having to check, I knew precisely what was on it. I thought for a long time about my options. I could show it to a stranger, a coworker. I could even show it to Terrence, as much as the idea disgusted me. And what would happen then? Well, if Smile Dog kept its word, I could sleep. Yet if it lied, what would I do? And who was to say something worse would not come for me if I did as the creature asked? So I did nothing for 15 years, though I kept the diskette hidden amongst my things. Every night for 15 years, Smile Dog has come to me in my sleep and demanded that I spread the word. For 15 years, I have stood strong, though there have been hard times. Many of my fellow victims on the BBS board where I first encountered smile.jpg stopped posting. I heard some of them committed suicide. Others remained completely silent, simply disappearing off the face of the web. They are the ones I worry about the most. I sincerely hope you will forgive me, Mr. L. But last summer, when you contacted me and my husband about an interview, I was near the breaking point. I decided I was going to give you the floppy diskette. I did not care if Smile Dog was lying or not. I wanted it to end. You were a stranger, someone I had no connection with, and I thought I would not feel sorrow when you took the diskette as part of your research and sealed your fate. Before you arrived, I realized what I was doing. I was plotting to ruin your life. I could not stand the thought, and in fact, I still cannot. I am ashamed, Mr. L, and I hope that this warning will dissuade you from further investigation of smile.jpg. You may in time encounter someone who is, if not weaker than I, then wholly more depraved. Someone who will not hesitate to file Smile Dog's orders. Stop while you are still whole. Sincerely, Mary E. Terrence contacted me later that month with the news that his wife had killed herself. While cleaning up the various things she had left behind, closing email accounts and the like, he happened upon the above message. He was a man in shambles. He wept as he told me to listen to his wife's advice. He'd found the diskette, he revealed, and burned it until it was nothing but a stinking pile of blackened plastic. The part that most disturbed him, however, was how the diskette had hissed as it melted. Like some sort of animal, he said. I will admit that I was a little uncertain about how to respond to this. At first I thought perhaps it was a joke, with the couple belatedly playing with the situation in order to get a rise out of me. A quick check of several Chicago newspapers' online obituaries, however, proved that Mary E. was indeed dead. There was, of course, no mention of suicide in the article. I decided that, for a time at least, I would not further pursue the subject of smile.jpg, especially since I had finals coming up at the end of May. But the world has odd ways of testing us. Almost a full year after I'd returned from my disastrous interview with Mary E., I received another email. Subject: Smile. Hello. I found your email address through a mailing list. Your profile said you're interested in Smile Dog. I have saw it. It is not as bad as everyone says. I have sent it to you here. Just spreading the word. Smile. The final line chilled me to the bone. According to my email client, there was one file attachment called, naturally, smile.jpg. I considered downloading it for some time. It was most likely a fake, I imagined. And even if it weren't, I was never wholly convinced of Smile's peculiar powers. Mary E.'s account had shaken me, yes, but she was probably mentally unbalanced anyway. After all, how could a simple image do what Smile was said to accomplish? What sort of creature was it that could break one's mind with only the power of the eye? And if such things were patently absurd, why did the legend exist at all? If I downloaded the image, if I looked at it, and if Mary turned out to be correct, if Smile Dog came to me in my dreams demanding I spread the word, what would I do? Would I live my life as Mary had, fighting against the urge to give in until I died? Or would I simply spread the word, eager to be put to rest? And if I chose the later route, how could I do it? Whom would I burden in turn? If I went through with my earlier intention to write a short article about smile.jpg, I decided I could attach it as evidence. And anyone who read the article, anyone who took interest, would be affected. And even assuming the smile.jpg attached to the email was genuine, would I be capricious enough to save myself in that manner? Could I spread the word? Yes. Yes, I could.
So this is the creepypasta Smile Dog. I hate it. Oh, my Lanta. Hello, Nakomi. Hello, Slade. Waffles. TMNT Mom. Hello, Droozies. We're telling spooky stories every Friday night in October. Either ones you guys submit, either ones you guys write. We are reading it. Drewsies, what kind of stuff you reading? This better not be. If you have anything you want us to read that is spooky, so like a creepypasta, SCP, or something you write yourself, send it our way. Put it in the Discord, in the fanfiction channel. Oh, here's the next one. This one is submitted by Mina. Oh, what is this? Does he, Teeth Whitener? Does he? Oh, this one is called The Exorcism. Okay. Let's zoom in. But yeah, we're also including stuff that you guys write. So if there are any stories that you've been working on, please send it our way. Actually, let's go in a bit more. Okay. This is called The Exorcism. Hello, Preston, just in time for spooky, scary stories. Happy October. The Exorcism by Win in August. Hold her down, I commanded to my fellow priests, holding a vial of holy water in one hand and the Holy Bible in the other. They held her down with tremendous force as she tried to escape. I will not leave. Stay away from this human. You will regret this, Father. The possessed girl cried with an inhuman voice. You are the one that will regret possessing this body spirit, I spat back. My fellow priests, let us pray. We began in unison, our hearts trembling with fear of the unknown. I sense fear in your hearts. You should. Save your words to ask forgiveness from God's punishment in hell. I cast the unclean spirit in the name of God. God will not save you from what is about to happen. Do not be deterred. Let us continue. In the name of God and all that is holy, I command thee, be gone from this creature of God. I sprinkled a generous amount of holy water on her. The room suddenly felt cold. The spirit opened the girl's mouth wide to the point of ripping and slithered out. A rotting smell emanated from it as it moved towards me. It came closer. It whispered in my ears something that chilled me to my very bones, and I fainted. My fellow priests rushed forward to make sure I was okay. What happened, Father? What did it say? I regained consciousness. We made a terrible mistake. The spirit said, "It's the girl you must be afraid of." I whimpered. Look. The girl, now grotesquely twisted and smirking, reached for her throats with a knife. No! No! Oh, heck that, no. What was the ghost name, Struzies? Nakami says I have the scariest short story of all. 2020. Oh, you're playing a horror map on Minecraft? Heck yes. Corgi, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Corgi. It's fine. Alright, let's see what else we have. What else do we have? Let me look at these SCPs. Because it just depends on how long they are. Because some SCPs are like beefy boys. Oh, this one is cool. this one is actually not one you read, but rather something really fascinating. I thought you said STDs. Well, those are scary too. Make sure you're checked. No, SCP. It is called the Secure, Contain, Protect Foundation. If you've never heard of them, it is really cool. It is really freaking cool. So this is one we saw last year. Usually these are articles with like written things, but you can tell by the pictures. Like this is what it looks like, right? It must be locked up. You can look at pictures. You can't write about it. You can't save anything about it online. You cannot speak about it. You can't say its name. It's not belonging to... So in the SCP Foundation, they have people who are, like, different levels. Like, think of the Men in Black. You know, like, if you're a level 4 or 5, you're a higher rank. So this is only for the higher rank people. The 4s and the O5s. Okay. Oh, this is so creepy. So creepy. So it can leave containment. And whatever information you give it, it can use. Oh, this is so bizarre. Oh! So if you write about it, it really loves it and it comes and visits you. If you speak about it, it really loves it and it comes and it takes you away. Oh, I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate it. All right, let's go with this one. I don't know if I've read this story. I've heard of this story. I have legitimately heard of this. Oh, it's really long though. Oh man, I don't know if we can do this one. Let me try. Let me try this one. I have heard of Jane the Killer, but I've never read it, Slade. Ooh. No, it's all good. It's all good. Let's do this. I am ready. We'll end with this one. Cuz the readings are pretty short for Fridays. So I don't lose my voice. We used to do them for 3 hours, but that was a mistake. Oh, let me zoom in a bit more. But yes, I remember this one making the rounds. Ooh. Okay. Listen, the only reason I'm going out of my way to tell any of you this is because the story Jane the Killer is starting to piss me off. No, TMNT Mom, we're not doing anything after the reading. I'm moving, so I'm gonna be busy packing stuff up and moving things tomorrow. But yeah, here we go. My real name is Jane Arkansas, aka Jane the Killer. And this is how I met Jeff. The reason I look the way I do. And why I want to kill him. When I heard that a new family had moved in across the street, I wasn't that surprised. It was a nice neighborhood, and the house was relatively cheap considering where it was. I guess I was about 15, 16, when everything went to hell. I never really talked to Jeff when he moved in. To be frank, I never talked to him until that night. But it's too soon to talk about that now. My first impression of Jeff was that he was a good kid. Probably got nice grades, rarely got in fights. Maybe even a cool guy if he opened up to someone. His brother Lou seemed like he put family first by the way he sat with his brother on the sidewalk. Of course, I was just guessing at the time and really didn't put much thought into my analysis because I was getting ready for school when I looked out the window and I was running late, which was unusual for me at that time in my life. I was hardly late for anything, especially school. I wasn't surprised when I saw Randy and his stooges go up to Jeff and Lou
on that stupid skateboard of his. Randy was nothing but a bully. He always picked on anyone who was smaller than him. He was even the reason why my parents drove me to school, instead of letting me take the bus like everyone else. Everyone had their lunch money or some kind of cash given to Randy and his goons because of some toll he demanded from everyone. Post it in the Discord, Waffles. Do that. And oh, that's wonderful, Preston. Heck yeah. We all knew Randy's group had knives and threatened to use them on us if we ever told anyone about the money they took from the other kids on the block. Everyone except the new kids they were trying to intimidate, like the rest of us. When I saw Randy talking to them through the window, I just looked away. It was a wussy thing to do, but I had better things to do than watch another kid hand his money over. But curiosity got the better of me, and I looked up a few seconds later. What I saw left me speechless. Jeff was standing now, and it looked like Randy already had what he wanted. Just sit down, I thought. Don't be stupid. Then I saw Jeff punch Randy in the face and break his wrist. Oh my God, I whispered. And then I yelled, "You idiot." My parents ran down the stairs and asked what happened. Then they looked outside and saw what was going on. Jeff had already cut the skinny guy. I think his name was Keith. He went down screaming. Troy only went down with a simple punch. Since my house was across the street from where Jeff and his brother were sitting, with the front of the house having big windows, we saw the whole thing. Or at least I did. My parents came in after the part where Randy stole their wallet, so they didn't know the whole truth. It was disturbing watching Jeff fight. He was enjoying himself too much. I felt a knot in my stomach, like something was happening that shouldn't be. From the look on Lou's face, Jeff didn't do this kind of thing often. Next thing I know, I hear sirens, and the new kids bolted out of there. The cops came round with the bus driver to check on the victims. Seemed they were going to be all right. You know, considering the amount of crap kicked out of them. Since my parents' policy was no cops after my dad got framed by a narc cop when he wanted to draw attention off himself when police were investigating the case of missing coke, and ended with my dad quitting the force. So when we heard sirens, we went into the backyard, got in the car, and left. When my parents drove me to school, they told me very clearly they didn't want me talking to Jeff ever. I did not disagree with them. I had art first period, so I didn't see Jeff until close to the end of school. I can still see the colors in my artwork if I think hard enough. When I try to look at anything at all, it all seems gray. I guess that's the price someone pays for losing their innocence. I didn't see Jeff until the final period of the day. When I did, he seemed off. At first, I thought he was just faking the joy so people wouldn't suspect him for the crime he did, but he really was enjoying himself. It wasn't because he was excited to be at school. I could tell that much from him. The smile he wore looked sadistic to me. It was the smile of a madman. The second that bell rang, I bolted out those doors as fast as I could. Nobody but me knew what Jeff really was. A freak. Next day seemed to be passing without incident at first. Then I saw the police car in front of Jeff's house. "Looks like they got you," Nobody could get away with something like that, you know, with the neighborhood watch and everything. But I was wrong with who they arrested. Instead of coming out with Jeff like I expected, the police came out with Lou, his brother. I was barely forming the thought of Jeff framing his brother for the assault when he came out the house yelling at Lou. Lou, tell them I did it. I was able to hear him this time because the front door was open in my house. I couldn't hear what Lou said in reply to Jeff's outburst, but it was definitely not what Jeff wanted to hear. A few seconds later, the police drove off with Lou, and Jeff was left outside with his mother. A few minutes later, she went inside the house and left Jeff outside. Although I couldn't hear him from across the street, I could tell he was crying. But who wouldn't in that situation? The next day, rumors were spreading like wildfire about Lou. It took so long for the rumors to get started because everyone was afraid to ask about Randy getting his ass handed to him. When it was revealed that he wouldn't be coming back to school for a few days, everyone decided to take advantage of the fact and enjoy it as much as possible. Lots of random bullshit started popping up. I heard Lou cut off Keith's arm. Oh yeah? Well, I heard Lou hit Troy so hard in the stomach, he roughed up blood. That's nothing. I heard he punched Randy so hard in the nose, it came out the back of his head. Etc., etc., etc. Personally, I didn't want anything to do with Jeff or his brother, but he just looked so alone and upset. I had to do something. I wrote him a note telling him he had a friend in this place, that I was going to testify at Lou's trial about what really happened. I left the note at his desk signed with the letter J before class started. Then I left the room. When I came back, Jeff was at his desk, and the note was gone. Saturday rolled around, and I was home alone when my parents were at work. The kid next door was having a birthday party. At the time, I left my window open because I wanted a nice breeze in my room while I did my homework. But the kids were getting so loud, I decided to close my window. I was about to close it when I saw Jeff playing with the kids, running around wearing one of those fake cowboy hats, carrying a toy gun. He looked so ridiculous I had to laugh. Maybe he isn't the monster I think he is, I thought, ashamed of myself for suspecting he could have been one. As I was closing the window, I saw Randy, Keith, and Troy jump over the fence on their skateboards to where Jeff was. Not again, I said to the open window. I saw Randy and Jeff exchange small talk, but I couldn't hear what they said over the sound of the kids yelling and screaming. Then Randy rushed at Jeff and tackled him. I was about to grab the phone and dial 911 when I heard Troy and Keith shout, "No one interrupts, or guts will fly." I looked out the window again and saw that they both had matching guns in their hands. I couldn't have called for help then, without endangering the lives of others. I couldn't have dialed 911 anyway. The battery in my phone was dead. Jeff was on his side getting kicked by Randy in the face when he grabbed his foot and twisted it. Randy fell over, and Jeff tried to walk back to the house when Troy grabbed him by the collar, threw him towards the house. I heard glass breaking, and I knew then they were going to kill him. "Randy, you asshat," I screamed at him, but he couldn't hear me over the sound of kids screaming. I couldn't wait anymore, so I ran to my parents' bedroom and searched for my dad's cell phone, hoping he forgot it at home. My heart was pounding in my chest, knowing that the longer it took for me to get help, the higher the chance of someone getting killed was. I finally found the phone underneath the bed. I wasted no time punching in the numbers. 911, hello. I need help. There's an emergency going on next door. Some guys jumped the fence and are beating up someone. They've got guns. You need to hurry, please. Okay, miss. I need you to tell me the address. I'll send help right away. I quickly told her my address and the address of the house next door. Please hurry, I said. It's okay, just stay on the line. Bang, bang, bang. I heard loud gunshots come from next door. I yelped and dropped the phone. It landed on the ground and it broke. Then I ran to my bedroom window to try and figure out what was going on. But no sooner had I poked my head out the window, I heard the whoosh of a fire and the screaming. I'm going to make Jeff scream like that again when I find him. The only thing I can compare it to is the death cry of an animal. It was at the time for me horrifying. But now it sounds like music to me. And there's nothing I want to hear more in the world than him screaming. I saw fire spew out of the house like an angry dragon. I ran downstairs immediately and got the portable fire extinguisher from the kitchen and ran outside. As I was running, I popped the pin for the extinguisher for immediate use. Luckily, the door was unlocked as I barged in. But when I saw Jeff, I completely froze. He was lying at the bottom of the stairs, almost completely on fire, with adults trying to put it out. I saw bits of his skin through all the commotion. Some parts pink, some parts charred, but it was all covered in red. At the sight of all of this, I screamed and passed out. Last thing I remember is some of the adults running towards me. Whether it was to help me or get the fire extinguisher, I do not know. When I came to, I was in a hospital bed, wearing one of those gowns a patient wears. A nurse came in a few moments later. She had long brown hair and a bun hidden under her hat. She looked like she didn't want to be here. I asked her what happened. All I know is that you were brought in with a few other kids because you fell and hit your head on a fire extinguisher, she said, annoyed. A fire extinguisher? I reached up my hand and touched my head. I felt bandages and a large bump the size of an orange. And then I remembered Jeff. One of the guys that came in here with me, the one with the burns. Is he going to be all right? She sighed. Listen, there was 2 boys that was brought in with you that had burns. And no, I'm not telling you see him just because he's your boyfriend. I felt the heat rise in my face. He isn't my boyfriend. I'm just worried about him. Wouldn't you be worried about someone you just saw burning alive in front of you? I tried to keep my voice steady, but my voice quivered enough to make it sound like I was lying. Whatever, your parents are here, by the way. Want to see him? She asked. Yes, of course. Anything to get me away from the nurse. My parents came in, and the nurse finally left. They asked what happened. I told them everything. The fight, the note, all of it. I knew that Randy was no good, my mom said. So, Have you heard anything about Jeff's condition? I asked. No, not a thing, said my dad. We just got here as soon as we heard about what happened to you. But who told you? I asked. I didn't think I saw anyone at the party that my family knew. The hospital called us, Mom said. Well, I guess that makes sense. It absolutely made no sense to me, of course. How would someone be able to identify me without me having any form of identification? I looked in the doorway and saw a man and woman standing in there. My parents followed my gaze and saw them too. Excuse me, but is this Jane Arkansas's room? The woman asked. Yes, my mother responded. Who are you? I'm Margaret, and this is Peter, my husband. She gestured to the man beside her. We're Jeff's parents. I sat up in my bed. I'm Isabel. This is my husband Greg and our daughter Jane. My mom gestured to me. So you're the girl who ran in with the fire extinguisher, Margaret said. Yes, I replied, quietly, embarrassed. Is your son all right? He just came out of surgery a few hours ago. The doctors say he will be fine. I relaxed at the thought. That's good, I said. Listen, I know what happened to Jeff and Lou on their first day of school. Then I told Jeff's parents what really happened to Randy and his crew. We had no idea Jeff was capable of something like this, Peter said. I'm willing to testify that Lou didn't beat up anyone, and that Jeff only beat up Randy and his gang in self-defense. No need, said Margaret. Lou is being released from jail after what happened to those boys. That's good, I said. We just came to say thank you for trying to help our son, Jane. It warms my heart to see selfless people in your generation. I blushed. I did anything anyone would have done in my situation. I looked down. I'm not a hero. Nonsense, Margaret said. The least we can do is invite you over to our place for dinner when Jeff gets out of the hospital. I looked at the mom and dad. It would be an honor, my mom said. It's settled then. We'll call you as soon as Jeff gets out of the hospital. We said our goodbyes and then they left. About 2 days passed and I was allowed to be released from the hospital. During the time I had no contact with Jeff or his family, but I heard Lou was released from jail and Jeff's wounds were healing. When I got back to school, I became the center of attention. More or less because I was the only one who saw what happened at the party. But the only people I told about what happened were my friends, Danny, Marcy, and Erica. I didn't know what to tell them, so I just told them what I saw. Sounds like Jeff got his ass handed to him, said Danny, with her raven black hair, sapphire blue eyes. She was the most level-headed of all of us. Well, at least he went down to fighting. I heard he took those idiots to the hospital with him. Erica snickered. She always dressed like she was from the 80s. Long, thigh-high, rainbow-colored socks, hair to match, always some kind of backpack on her. He also took Jane to the hospital. Maybe she was trying to beat him up too. Marcy laughed. She seemed to be the girly girl of our little group, blonde with brown eyes. Nearly every time we saw her, some sort of pink on her. Whether it was the color of her shirt or the jewelry around her neck, she was one of the biggest drama queens I knew. Always stretching out the truth or blowing something out of proportion. I told you I went over there to try and help Jeff because something was wrong, I muttered. I was the plain Jane, Brown hair, green eyes. Completely unremarkable looks-wise. Or maybe you wanted to see your loved one last time before he left to go get help for himself, Marcy said in her dramatic voice. I just looked at her with my eyes the size of dinner plates. What? You can't deny it, Jane. You have a crush on Jeff. Oh, what is this? Oh my goodness. Is this... I think, okay, so is this part of Jeff the Killer? I have never read that, y'all. I have no idea of it, only that, it's apparently really big in internet culture. Hello, Zelly. Hello, we're reading spooky stories. I am about to end, though, because my voice is giving out. I feel it. I feel my voice after all these readings. But don't worry, we're going to be doing this every Friday night. I will return to this story. Oh, you were lurking and listening? Nice. Thank you. But yes, every Friday night in October, if it is a scary story you have found, if it is an SCP, a creepypasta, if it is a green text, or something you have written, please submit it on the Discord, and we will read it on Friday nights for 2 hours until my voice starts to suffer. Oh, but this one's pretty long, so I'm gonna save this one to finish it next week. We are on Jane the Killer, Steve. Oh, yeah, we always can use new ones. Always. Oh, my voice. Oh, sorry we're ending a bit early, y'all, but I need to have my voice for tomorrow if we're going to be doing community night. Woo! Anyway, take care. Have a lovely evening. Oh, Waffles, I am so ready. My favorite stories to read are ones y'all write. Absolute favorite. We're going to go ahead and raid. And I'm going to drink copious amounts of water. Make sure you have it prepared for next Friday. Bye!
So if it falls in the water, he'll be fine, right? You don't just turn
I
into a
will
rock.
battle medicine
No,
Vorna.
actually, he can swim.